I was surprised because even Alliance Francaise started, intensive courses because that is a demand. People really want to complete at least one level in just 2, 3 months. And so Alliance Francaise also has to shift. Acha, another thing, Vaishnavi, I just wanted to know, as you have like having a skill set of professional marketer, so like somebody who is just starting off with the language, maybe just starting off with the career, I would say,
Hmm.
maybe as a fresher, the person has just graduated, maybe in India or maybe somewhere. So apart from the language, do you think that the person has to like also master any other skill, other professional skill along and keep the language as a secondary skill set, or like only the language expertise will help in getting any other job, like, or maybe having a good career outside?
No, I don't think just language is going to help. Like, language is that supplementary skill set that you can use to translate your fundamental core skill set to other populations or other communities or other cohorts, is how I see it, right? Because if you want to get into marketing or whatever your core profession is, that still remains your basic or your fundamental skill set.
Right.
And what the language enables you to do is if there are companies that primarily work in that language, you can then translate your core skill set into what they can understand.
Now, we will be talking about the earning potential in career with the language, right? And I'm sure a lot of people will be having this the question around it, like
Hmm.
how much a person can earn having the language expertise, and like in their field maybe, or maybe after learning language, how much a person can gain in monetary terms. So, like, how do you think as like French can make some impact in the
Hmm.
earning potential? What do you think about it?
So I think um, realistically, I don't think it can add value unless you bring the language up to like a B2 or a C1 level.
Be-
For you to work in an environment where they speak in French, your French needs to be at a good level. To
Hmm.
be able to add value to an organization, I mean, assuming that you're adding value in that skill set of yours, right? So in my case, if it is in marketing, like I'm not going to add value using my French, I'm adding value
Right.
using my marketing. But to be able to translate this in a way that it is valuable for this organization, my French needs to be at a good level as well.
Hmm.
So I think they go hand in hand. And I think how it affects your earning potential is how you're able to present yourself in that language and present yourself in French. So, I mean, I think it starts from giving an interview in French, into
Hmm.
landing a role, and then because you might be in a position where the team primarily works in French, so you should be able to converse with them in French, and I think that only happens at a B2 or a C1 level.
I mean, somebody who is like having maybe some a particular skill set, and after learning French, like how much hike a person can expect, or maybe how much like a gain a person can expect with the language expertise.
I don't think it is that binary, to be honest, because I
Mhm.
don't think it is like, you learn French and immediately you're going to get an increment in your salary. I
Mhm.
think it becomes more of how well integrated you can get into the company or the environment that you're in. And as a result, you grow from there. Like, I don't think, yes, of course, knowing English adds a lot of value for us in terms of working in workplaces, but
Right.
they're not giving us a salary based on English, on the English that we know. The English helps us
Right.
communicate our skill set
Yes.
in a way that's valuable to the organization. Yeah.
Hmm. So, I mean, French, apart from, I mean, French as an additional language will not really help anyone, or maybe to secure a good job, or maybe I
No,
can.
I think it is, so there are, I mean, different kinds of companies, right? So you have companies that primarily operate in English. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think knowing French is going to add value
Absolutely.
unless they specifically say that, okay, it would be nice if the person for this role also knew French because, it's a business development role, and it would be nice if the person that we're hiring could also communicate in French just
Right.
to find newer clients. But for companies that work primarily in French, I think it is a given or it is understood that you would speak
You
French.
will be
So
needing.
I don't think it will add value. Like you're like for you to have a chance at, getting into that door, you will need to know French.
Hmm.
But not knowing the language will mean that you can't try for that door. Yeah.
Yes, I got
But
it.
knowing it gives you that possibility.
Hmm. So you will be having more options, I would say,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, I mean, earning potential really depends upon how well a person's skill sets are, and how well is a person like good at his work, I would
Yeah.
say, isn't it? And also, I
Because
think the experience will also matter, if I'm not wrong.
Of course. So, because in a country like Luxembourg, it's very unique because it's a country of polyglots. So
Hmm.
the children here, when they start school, they end up learning Luxembourgish, French, and German together.
Hmm.
So there's no way we
English
can
also,
compete.
English also, or
Yeah,
no?
they do speak English, but yeah, I think they do learn English, but maybe at a later point in the school
Okay.
journey. So it's very hard for us to compete at a language level with them because they're speaking
Hmm.
German as well. So the only way that we can compete is if our skill set is good enough, and then you
Hmm.
add the languages because then you're unique in that sense,
True.
right?
True. I got it. Now, would you recommend French as a valuable skill for maybe professionals who are looking to expand their career prospects, maybe not just in marketing field, because you're already a marketing professional, but maybe some other professions that you have seen, like having a good demand in the in like outside world. So that maybe people who are like maybe somebody who is having a technical background, maybe somebody who is having a maybe like analyst background, maybe consultant, or maybe some any other background,
Mhm.
so maybe teaching background. So do you think that would you recommend French language as an additional skill set that the person can add?
Absolutely. I think in francophone countries, it's essential to be able to speak French at a good level if you want to tap into opportunities outside of your or like where you're working, assuming that it's an English speaking workplace,
Mm-hmm.
because it gives you, for instance, you can try to get into consulting. You can use your skill set and consult for people who primarily speak French, or if you have any hobbies and would like to tap into that, if you wanted to teach music, for instance. And teaching professions in Luxembourg particularly pay really well. So teachers are actually rewarded quite well. And if you want to get into teaching, the only catch is you need to be able to speak at least French. Like even if
Hmm.
you don't try to, pick up all three, ideally if you want to teach in a school here, you would need to have Luxembourgish and German as well. But I think even just knowing French to a good level can open up doors for you.
Hmm. And do they really? I mean, is it easy for Indians to integrate, or maybe to just get a good opportunity there? Is it really is it, or maybe are there some challenges that the person can face apart
It,
from the language barrier? I mean,
so it depends on where you're looking at getting into, right? So if it is like a company like Amazon or if it is an English speaking company, yeah, it would be the same kind of path as if you're interviewing with another company. But if it is a French or if it is anything that's not English speaking,
mm-hmm.
I think it is a bit more challenging because you absolutely do have to learn the language, and I think you have to learn the language to a reasonably high level. Like it has to be a B2 C1. So and that takes time. Languages take time.
Absolutely.
It's not instant. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, as you said, that languages, I mean, this is the question that I get almost 3 to 4 times every single week, to be honest. Whenever I get somebody's call for the language, learning, any working professionals also, because when I get to hear that, that in my company it is required, so I have to go out for some work project or maybe something, or maybe I have my exam coming up, I have to go to Canada, I have to go to this, I have just 6 months, I have just 8 months to reach at this level and to clear the exam. So, and I mean, I really I have the same response to them that it is not possible for me to train you in just 6 7 months up to the upper intermediate level.
Yeah.
So, what is your advice to those for them?
I mean, be realistic. Like, I don't know. I mean, are they trying to get to B2 in 6 months?
Yeah, B2, absolutely.
B2 in 6 months.
Yes.
I mean, some people, like, if they devote like 9 to 10 hours a day, perhaps it's possible. Because I
Yeah.
was watching a video of like diplomats. So I think there were American diplomats who wanted to work in Germany. And but this is like their job, right? So they're doing lessons from morning, 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock in the evening, and
Yeah.
they're doing 12 hours of German lessons every day, and possibly
Mhm.
they could get to a B2. But
Yeah.
if you have something else on the side, it's impossible. Like, you're not going to get to a B2,
True.
because languages require time and they require consistent efforts, like through this period of time that you're learning it, right? And it's also very important to immerse yourself. I think it's a very different experience to learn a language like French when you're living in a francophone country, because you see
Mm.
it all around you. Like, I go out and I can practice my French on a day-to-day
True.
basis. Whereas if you're sitting in India, I think it's you have that additional challenge because you don't see it, right? You don't
True.
see it anywhere. You're forced to create an environment where you are able to immerse yourself, which
Mm.
means, like, when you're taking an Ola or something, you have to listen to a podcast in French,
Yes.
right? Or you have to watch French movies. You have to create that space for you, and if you don't, I think it's challenging.
It's challenging. I absolutely agree. And like, and even, even I was surprised because even Alliance France started, intensive courses because that is a demand. People really want to complete at least one level in just 2, 3 months. And so Alliance France also has to shift from regular classes of 6 months to three
To
months
three.
intensive course.
Wow.
I mean, not till B2 level, but yeah, Aaron Sponsor is like, I mean, organizing the courses, like let's say A1 level in 3 months, then A2 level in another 3 months, you know.
Oh, wow.
So
Like, simultaneously, I mean, as soon as you finish A1, they're pushing you to
you
A2. Oh,
can
wow.
you can move on to A2 level, and then
Like,
in 6 months you can complete your A2 level, and then in the next 6 months you can, like reach at B2 level. So
oh,
maybe within
wow.
1 year you can like, I mean, but Alliance Francaise, like Alliance Francaise Chandigarh, they are like keeping the B2 level regular batch because they feel that B2 level is requires approximately 250 plus hours to complete
Mm-hmm.
as per the curriculum. So for B2 level, they are keeping like 6 months duration, but till B1 level, you can complete like every level in 3 months. It is that intensive, like
Oh,
2 hours or
wow.
2.5 hours every single day. But that is also challenging for most of the working professionals because taking out time,
Two and a
like
half
two
hours.
and a
Yeah.
half hours on a daily basis, and like that too maybe after the work or maybe in the early morning. So it really gets challenging for the working professionals. So
Mm.
I think for most of the working professionals, I think weekend batches really work.
Okay.
If I'm not wrong. I mean, how did you take it? Like you told that you were doing private one-on-one sessions. So like you took
So
like
I
the classes after your work or like how
so it used to
managed?
be during lunchtime. So it was once a week during a lunch hour. Um, and then when so I think A2 was okay. For A2, it was enough. Like once a week. I think for that period of time that I studied, must have been probably 8 months or probably even lesser.
So for one level, just wanted to clarify, for one level,
Yeah.
how much time did you take to?
So I think I started learning around 2023 August, and I attempted A2 in Feb 2024.
Hmm,
So 6 months. 6 months for
6 months.
A2. And then between A2 and B1, I think I had more time. So I gave B1 in November last year. So probably around 7, 8 months in between.
So in seven,
But
8 months, you completed B1 level.
B1, yeah. But I think um, I I wasn't too happy with my listening and speaking for B1, but I think
Hmm.
that's on me because I didn't practice enough. I don't think just the lessons with my teacher were enough. But during this period, I do want to say that I tried out Lingoda, which is like another online website where you have small group classes of around 5 people on various different topics. So, and you can choose it based on the CEFR level.
Okay.
So I would take, I tried out a couple of, I must have done about 10 classes of Lingoda in between this A2 and B1
Mm-hmm.
phase. Um, but I feel I didn't practice enough speaking in the way that the B1 exam is structured.
Mm.
Because my teacher who teaches me one-on-one, she, I mean, she knows the format, but she's not a teacher who is focused solely on the format. Her approach is more holistic. So I think what I'm trying to do now between B1 and B2, because the format of speaking has a very specific structure, and I think it's essential to get a lot of practice in this specific structure and get feedback on the structure and how you present yourself as well. So what I'm doing a lot more of now between B1 and B2 is doing specific italki lessons just to improve my speaking fluency. So I do um, one class where I'm just trying to speak on different topics, and then another one which is 45 minutes just on one topic similar to what could come in the B2 exam, and being assessed on how I present that.
I got it. Got it. So, uh, any last advice that that you would like to to give to people, to the French learners outside, working professionals mainly, maybe the biggest challenges that you face, and how did you overcome that, and how others can also like overcome that. That will be my last question for the day.
Yeah, so I would say I think languages take time. So don't give up and don't pressurize yourself into to learning it very quickly unless you absolutely have to. Like I understand if somebody wants to immigrate and they need to bring this language up to a good level in a short period of time. But I think the real learning will begin when they actually move, because
Move.
then they'll have to learn more things in a different manner as well after they move there. Um, but I think for speaking and listening, for listening specifically, we can start with that. I think French and You is a great resource for that, because you get to experience the conditions which would be similar to test conditions. You hear
Yes.
it 2 or 3 times, and you get a chance to try it out and assess how you do in it.
Yeah.
So I think practicing such exercises is great. But I also think it's important to, what's amazing with a language like French is that it's just the sheer number of resources that exist for it, right? It's not a language that is spoken by a small cohort of people. So with French, you have like a whole plethora of resources that you can explore. There's a
Right.
lot of different podcasts that you can listen to. There's content on YouTube. There's movies that you could watch. I think it's important to practice listening to French in different settings, because when you actually go to France and when you go to Paris, you'll realize that they speak very quickly. Je suis
Mm.
becomes shui. So you have to get used to a lot of these nuances, and I think um, you only realize it when you listen to a number of different things in French, right? Reading, I think biggest advice I would say is like just try to read a lot, and try to challenge yourself each time. Try to find material that is challenging. I think press and French media, French nonfiction is a great start. You can probably find online articles. There's a lot of news articles that you could explore reading.
Mhm.
Uh, Writing, what I'm trying to do now, I think it's a learning for me as well. I think exam writing is very different from writing that you would just do informally,
Yeah.
and getting feedback on orthograph is very important with writing. So I try to take some prompts, right, and then get feedback from my teacher on that. And lastly, I think speaking, which is probably the most challenging aspect of this language. Uh, I think my learning from it is between A2 and B1. A2 is a beginner level and you could pass with some mistakes, but at a B1, B2, I think they are a bit more brutal in their judging.
Mm.
So I think what I'm trying to do now more of is getting feedback specifically related to the rubric of B1, B2,
Yes.
and also doing I mean it helps that I live in a francophone country, so I use every opportunity that I have, whoever is around me. If I go, I also learn music here at the conservatory. So initially when I came here, teachers would teach in French and I would be the only student who would ask to switch in English. But now I actually tell them, like, just teach in French, because I need as much French going into my brain on a daily basis.
Right.
So it helps to live in a francophone country. But if you don't, I think websites like italki really help you find teachers that you can just converse with.
Hmm.
So the two types of lessons I would say. So one is like informal conversation, which is also important. Like, you need to be able to talk for 30 minutes, on spontaneous topics, not just topics that you're given something on and preparing something for,
Hmm.
right? So I think for speaking and trying to improve my speaking, I'm trying to do both those things, which is practicing a lot of informal speaking, as well as also formal speaking where I'm being judged on a rubric. So these are my tips, and I hope it helps someone.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure people will be like, looking for such kind of tips from your side. So that's all from my side, Vaishnavi, and I'm
Thanks,
really
Bart.
glad you shared all of this. I'm sure this will be really helpful, for others.